In this session, we will see about the general administration of the British. British had conquered Indian subcontinent gradually. They started conquering India with Bengal. Later, they conquered Carnatic region, Maratha region, and finally, in the end, they conquered Punjab and Sindh regions as well. With this, almost entire Indian subcontinent came under their control. They should have some kind of administrative setup in order to maintain law and order and other administrative actions. So, in this session, we will see how broadly they organized their setup, and before that, what was the purpose of British Parliament interference in India, and before that we see what are the objectives of East India Company for settling in Indian subcontinent. First we see the main objectives of the company, because these objectives are going to guide the company's administration in India. Whatever administrative decision they have taken, it was guided by these principles. The main prime objective of the company was to serve the interests of the shareholders of the company and the British subjects. So they came here to earn as much profits as possible, because the birth of East India Company took place in 1600 to gain as much revenue as possible from the trade with the East. East India Company was created in 1600. Queen Elizabeth I had given the permission to trade with the East. Now the main objective of the company is to trade and gain profits. Now fortunately they got the political setup also into their hands in case of India. Whatever the administrative policies they have taken in due course of time, all these administrative decisions were guided by the principle of maximizing the company's profits. To maximize their profits, the trade should happen across Indian subcontinent peacefully. They were having metropolities like Kolkata, Madras, Bombay. From here, goods were imported, raw material were exported, and once the finished goods enter into Indian subcontinent, they should carry the goods into different parts of the country. For this, law and order should be maintained. So the main objective of the company was to maintain law and order for trading with India and to exploit the natural resources of India. What is the purpose of maintaining law and order? One, to spread the finished goods of London into Indian subcontinent or Indian markets, and to export the Indian raw material to the London. Now this was the basic objective of the company. Now how the Parliament of British involved in the affairs of the company in India. For example, the whatever the assets they gained here, it belongs to company. The almost company got the country for them. Generally a country will have a company, whereas in this case company got the country for its resources. Now during this time period, here the first conquest of Bengal took place in 1757. In 1764 with the Battle of Buxar, the British conquered Bengal, Bihar, Orissa regions, and with the Carnatic Wars they conquered the south region. With Maratha regions, Maratha lands also came under them. Now all these were happening before 1800s, and till 1857 they carried continuous expansions. Now what is happening in London during this time period? Now starting with 1757 with the Battle of Plassey, What were the developments in London? Let us see. It was the time when a new kind of ideas were emerging in British society. With respect to economy, classical economics, that is free trade economic principles, were getting or gaining more prominence in the society. That means before this kind of theory, some companies were established and trade got monopolized in the hands of few companies. Now, with this laissez-faire concept or free trade concept, many British traders and merchants want to trade with East. Here, the company got the monopoly rights over the East trade, whereas the other companies also emerged over a period of time. Because from 1600 to 1757, other companies also were created in London. Now, these companies also wanted to trade with India. However, with the permissions given by the crown to the company, no other company could enter into India. Now, these other companies also wanted to have a share with Indian trade. So, that is one reason. So, the opponents of East India Company opposed the monopoly of East India Company. Now, they started pressurizing the British Parliament to amend the laws so that other people can also go to India and trade there. And one more aspect is company servants bought MPs in order to gain the British Parliament favors for East India Company. Now East India Company has a lot of wealth in their hands. They used to influence the British parliamentarians and they bribed parliamentary MPs, and these MPs supported East India Company's policies. That means they supported the monopoly of East India Company. They defended very strongly, vigorously in the British Parliament. So this kind of continuous debate was happening in these times. On one hand, the opponents of the East India Company wanted the end of monopoly. On the other hand, the defenders of the East India Company were strongly defending the rights of East India Company. The main Adam Smith's principle in his book The Wealth of Nations, he strongly supported free trade policies. This means anyone can trade with India, not only with India. Free trade economics means anyone can trade freely across the globe. If Parliament passes a law, that law should be applied to everyone. There should be no control of or monopoly of trade for any particular company. Industrial revolution was also taking place during this time period. Now during this industrial revolution, so many companies established in London and across Britain. Now they wanted to access for their goods in the markets such as India. So under these circumstances, the British Parliament wanted to involve in the affairs of company in India. So now the objectives of company were to enhance the profits, to maintain law and order, whereas the British Parliament wants to involve or interfere in the affairs of company because of the changing scenarios or the changing ideas of British society, the changing ideas of free trade, laissez-faire principle, the new economists like Adam Smith ideas gaining more prominence in British society. Now more people or more merchants and traders and manufacturers wanted to gain access to the Indian markets. Under these circumstances, British East India Company filed a petition for the government of Britain to sanction a loan. Why it asked a loan? Company was under debt, whereas company servants were rich, whereas company itself was in debt. Company applied for the loan Now, under these circumstances, the British Parliament wanted to interfere in the affairs of the administration of the company. Thereafter, British Parliament passed so many laws in order to guide and control the administration of the East India Company in India. Now we see the setup broadly. In Britain, they were having a setup like Court of Directors, Board of Control, Secretary of State. Whereas in India, executive, legislature, judiciary kind of setup was established over a period of time. Now let us see how it can be explained. Here, two categories, one in Britain, one part in India. Initially, East India Company was having its autonomy in administering India because London was far away from India. Now, governors were having their own control in their respective zones. Three main provinces like Bengal Presidency, Madras Presidency, Bombay Presidency. These were three main presidencies of the British India. Now each presidency was having their own governor. Each one having their own governor. Now these governors used to take care of in their respective zones. Now after the British involvement, a new kind of law was passed, that is Regulating Act in 1773. Till 1773, governors of different provinces were independent, they were autonomous in carrying out their administration in their respective presidencies. Whereas with the Regulating Act with 1773, the governor of Bengal, this is also called Fort William. Fort William in Calcutta was famous. With this Fort William, governor of Fort William became Governor General of Fort William. This means now Fort William governor also look after some of the aspects of Madras Presidency and Bombay Presidency with respect to war and diplomacy. With respect to war and diplomacy, Fort William governor is having control over Bombay and Madras as well. Now British passed another act like Pitt's India Act in 1784. Later it passed other acts like Charter Act 1813, 1833, 53. Finally, after 1857 revolt, the Government of India Act 1858, the Act for Good Governance or Better Governance was passed in 1858 Act. So till this point of time, in Britain they were having one setup, in India they were having some kind of setup. Now here we see in India, executive, legislature and judiciary. Three broad categories were they maintained. Here executive means Governor General. From 1773 onwards, Governor General became the important executive of Indian government. Now he was having some kind of councillors. Governor General plus these councillors became legislature. So Governor General's Executive Council. Initially it was called Executive Council. Governor General's Executive Council became the legislature. That means Governor General alone will not pass a particular law. He debate or discuss with other councillors also. This combined body was called Governor General Executive Council. This was the beginning of legislature in India. Executive. The executive wing was under Governor General control. Legislature wing was under Governor General Executive Council. Now, in terms of judiciary, a Supreme Court was created with the 1773 Act. This is Supreme Court of Fort William. With this, the beginning of judiciary started. So this is broadly the Indian side administrative setup. Whereas the reports and the administrative orders, they used to send from India to London. In London, they were having a different kind of, here we see in Britain, here mainly court of directors were there, because these court of directors were the people who were maintaining the commercial aspects of the company. So the commercial decisions were taken by the court of directors. After the conquest of the lands, administration also was under court of directors. Whereas with till 1784, with 1784, a board of control was created. With this, some of the administrative powers were taken from it. And gradually this board of control gained more prominence and it was assuming more administrative powers, whereas court of directors were limited for commercial decision making system. So till 1858, for commercial activities court of directors, for administration board of control was the setup. After 1858 Act, this court of directors was completely abolished. Now board of control was also abolished. In this case, a secretary of state, board of control and court of directors were abolished. Secretary of state became the head of Indian government in London. Whereas in India, now Governor General became Governor General and Viceroy. Before 1858, these Governor Generals were the nominee of court of directors, or they were ruling India on behalf of company. Now after 1858, these Governor Generals were ruling India on behalf of Crown. That is why a new designation Viceroy has come into usage. So in Britain, court of directors were there. Later board of control was created. Initially court of directors were taking care of both commercial decisions and administrative decisions. And after 1784, some of the administrative decisions were taken by board of control. Gradually after 1784, with various acts like 1813, 1833, 1853, gradually the administrative powers of court of directors limited by the Parliament Acts, and it was restricted for commercial decisions. Board of control became the main administrative wing by 1858. After 1858, both court of directors and board of control, both bodies were eliminated. New body called Secretary of State, a new post called Secretary of State was created, and Secretary of State became the link between the government of British and the Governor General of India. Here also the designation of Governor General gradually changed, transformed. In 1773, Governor General of Fort William. In 1833, Governor General of India. In 1858, Governor General and Viceroy. Viceroy means now he is the representative of the crown, not the company. Before this, the Governor General was the representative of the company. The first Governor General of Fort William was Warren Hastings. First Governor General of India was William Bentinck. The first Viceroy of India was Lord Canning. So this is how broadly how the British setup and Indian setup was created for administering Indian territories. So two broad categories: the general outline, the general administrative outline. In India, executive, legislature, judiciary was created, whereas in London, court of directors, board of control were there. Later, these two bodies were removed and secretary of state post was created. So this is the general administration setup. But the main objective of any kind of decision or any administrative decision was to enhance the profits of the company and to enhance the profits of the traders of British. After 1858, it was to enhance more revenues for the British exchequer. So this is about general administration of the British. Now we see how questions can be asked. Who was the first Governor General of Fort William? Warren Hastings. Who was the first Governor General of India? William Bentinck. Governor General of India was created with 1833 Act. By this time, most of India was already conquered. This was created in 1773 Regulating Act. During this time period, only Bengal province was under them, and some Madras provinces and Bombay province were there. Near Bombay, near Madras, near Bengal, some territories were under company. So this time Governor General of Fort William was created. By 1833, most of the Indian subcontinent passed into the hands of East India Company. Because of this, Governor General of India was created. Now after 1858, after great revolt of 1857, now all the territories of India went into the hands of Queen. Because of this, Governor General and Viceroy of India, new designation was given to the Governor General. First Governor General was Lord Canning. When was the Supreme Court of Fort William created? 1774. So this is how questions can be asked. So this session we have seen what were the main objectives of the company for administrative setup and broad administrative setup both in Britain and in India.